The archive room was quiet, except for the soft hum of old machines. Ambassador Hana Lee stood before a display screen, her eyes fixed on words that glowed in the darkness. She had been searching through forgotten records for 3 days now. Most diplomats would have given up. But Hana was different. She believed that history mattered. The file she found was marked with a date from 300 years ago. It told a story that made her heart beat faster. Captain Do-yoon Kim entered the archive room, his military uniform crisp and clean. He had served as Hana's escort for 2 years now, and he knew that look on her face. She had found something important. "Ambassador," Do-yoon said quietly. "The council meeting starts in 1 hour." Hana turned to him, her face pale but determined. "I found it. The record we needed." She pressed a button, and the screen showed an old video. The image was grainy and broken in places, but clear enough. A human colony ship floated, damaged in space. Around it circled 3 pirate vessels, their weapons charged and ready. The colonists inside had no weapons, no way to fight back. They were going to die. Then another ship appeared. It was smaller, a merchant vessel. The name on its side read, "Vorath's Fortune," in alien script. The video showed what happened next. The merchant ship placed itself between the pirates and the colonists. It took hit after hit, its shields failing, its hull breaking apart. But it bought time. Just enough time for the colonists to escape into faster-than-light travel. The merchant ship did not survive. But neither did 2 of the pirate vessels. The 3rd pirate ran away. 3,000 human lives were saved that day. The merchant captain's name was Vorath, from a species called Keltharians. He lost everything. His ship, his cargo, his life savings. But he survived. The last part of the file showed a meeting. A young human captain, tears in his eyes, spoke to Vorath in a medical station. The audio was damaged, but the words were clear enough. "I don't know how to repay you," the human captain said. Vorath, bandaged and weak, had smiled. "No payment needed. I did what was right." "No," the human captain said firmly. "Humanity never forgets. We will repay this debt. I promise you this. We will repay it. Well, after one. Well, the file ended there. Do-yoon stared at the blank screen. 300 years ago, he whispered. "Yes," Hana said. "And we never paid it back. We never even tried." Unner said. She pulled up another file. This one was current, from last week. It showed a petition to the Galactic Council. The Keltharian species was dying. Their homeworld was failing, its sun growing unstable. They had only 50,000 individuals left. They needed to relocate, but they had no money, no resources, no political power. The Galactic Council had denied their petition. "Too expensive," they said. "Too much trouble for so few people." "We have to tell the council," Hana said. Do-yoon nodded slowly. "They won't care. Humans are a small species in the galaxy. We have little power. I'm.com. Then we make them care." Hana replied. The council chamber was massive. Hundreds of species sent their representatives here, to this space station that orbited a dead star. The architecture was beautiful and cold, all smooth metal and floating platforms. Ambassador Hana stood at the speaker's podium. Above her, on platforms arranged in a circle, sat the representatives of 93 different species. Most of them looked bored. Humans rarely spoke in council sessions. Director Vrax, an insectoid creature with too many eyes, chittered into his translator. "The human representative wishes to speak. Proceed. But be brief." Hana took a deep breath. 300 years ago, a Keltharian named Vorath saved 3,000 human lives. He lost everything to do it. We promised to repay him. We never did. Some of the representatives shifted in their seats. A few looked interested now. "The Keltharians are dying," Hana continued. "You have denied them aid. You say it costs too much, that they are too few to matter. But they matter to us. We owe them a debt. Vrax's translator made a sound like laughter. Ambassador, you speak of ancient history. Vorath is surely dead by now. The debt, if it ever truly existed, died with him. The debt is not to one person, Hana said, her voice growing stronger. The debt is to his entire species. And humanity intends to pay it. Now the chamber was not quiet anymore. Representatives talked among themselves. Some laughed. Others looked confused. A large, bear-like alien stood up. His name was Ambassador Thornick, from one of the richer species. With respect, Ambassador Lee, humans are a minor species. You have limited resources. You cannot possibly afford to relocate 50,000 Keltharians. Your entire economy would collapse. Hana smiled, but there was no humor in it. You don't understand. When humans make a promise, we keep it. No matter what it costs. Vrax chittered again. This is madness. Your species will destroy itself over pride. Not pride, Hana said quietly. Honor. She pressed a button, and the chamber's main display activated. It showed the old video, the merchant ship, dying to save the colony vessel. The entire council watched in silence. When it ended, Hana spoke again. That is what one Keltharian did for us. Watch now what humanity will do in return. She pressed another button. The display changed. It showed Earth, humanity's homeworld. On the screen, massive shipyards activated. Colony vessels, hundreds of them, began to move. Military ships formed escort formations. Resource haulers loaded supplies. This broadcast is happening now, Hana said. Right now, as we speak, humanity is mobilizing. We are coming for the Keltharians. We will save them. Every single one. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives shouted, argued, demanded explanations. Only one platform stayed quiet. There, in a corner that most people ignored, sat an old Keltharian. His name was Elder Vorath, descendant and namesake of the merchant who had saved the human colony so long ago. He was dying, his species' genetic disease taking him slowly. Captain Doyun had found him before the meeting. He had brought him here to witness what would happen. Elder Vorath watched the human ambassador with tears in his eyes. He had never expected this. His ancestor had told the story many times of the humans who promised to repay their debt. But 300 years had passed. He thought they had forgotten. Humans never forget. Hana turned to face the elder directly. She bowed. A deep, respectful bow from her culture. We are late, she said. We apologize for taking so long. But we are here now. And we will keep our promise. Elder Vorath tried to speak, but emotion choked his words. Finally, he managed to say, You don't have to do this. The debt was never truly owed. My ancestor did what was right. Hana straightened and looked at him with firm eyes. And so will we. Director Vrax demanded order in the council chamber. This is insanity. Humans, you will bankrupt your entire species. For what? For aliens you don't even know? Hana turned to face the council one last time. You still don't understand. This is not about money. This is not about politics. This is about honor. When a human makes a promise, we keep it. When someone helps us, we repay them. Not because we have to, because that is who we are. She walked away from the podium. Captain Doyun joined her, and together they escorted Elder Vorath from the chamber. Behind them, the council continued to argue and shout. But Hana did not care anymore. The talking was over. Now came the action. And when humans acted, the galaxy would learn what it meant to owe them a debt, or to be owed one in return. The message reached Earth 12 hours after Ambassador Hana's speech to the council. Every screen on the planet showed the same broadcast. Every radio carried the same words. Every device connected to the network displayed the urgent call. President Taeyang Song stood in the Global Assembly Hall. Around him sat representatives from every nation, every colony, every settlement that humanity called home. Mars was there. Luna was there. The asteroid miners, the deep space stations, the farming colonies. All of them waited to hear what their president would say. Taeyong was not a tall man, but his presence filled the room. He had led Earth through peace and prosperity for 10 years. Today, he would ask his people for something different. 300 years ago, he began, we made a promise. Today, we will keep it. He told them the story. He showed them the old video of Vorath's ship dying to save human lives. He showed them the current state of the Keltharian people, 50,000 souls on a dying world, with nowhere to go and no one to help them. The Galactic Council says we cannot afford to save them, Taeyong continued. They say we are too small, too poor, too weak. They are wrong. He paused, letting his words sink in. I am not asking for volunteers. I am not asking for donations. I am telling you what we will do. We will save the Keltharians, all of them. We will give them new worlds to live on. We will keep the promise our ancestors made. The assembly hall was silent. Then, one representative stood up. She was from Mars Colony, a woman named Nari Han, who worked as a journalist. She had covered wars and disasters, and her voice carried weight. Mr. President, she said, I want to be clear about what you are asking. This will cost us everything we have saved. It will delay our expansion plans. It will require sacrifice from every human alive. Is that correct? Yes, Taeyong said simply. That is correct, Nari smiled. Then let's get started. The vote was unanimous. 4,000 representatives, not one dissent. Humanity would honor its debt. Admiral Junho Park received his orders within the hour. He stood on the bridge of the flagship Indomitable, looking at the mobilization plans on his screen. The numbers were staggering. 400 ships. Enough to move an entire civilization. Enough to terraform 3 planets simultaneously. Enough to protect the operation from any threat. His second in command, a woman named Yuna Choi, looked over his shoulder at the display. She was not military. She was a scientist, the head of Earth's Terraform Initiative. For this mission, science and military would work as one. Can we really do this in 18 months? Yuna asked. Junho looked at her. We have to. The Keltharian homeworld has 18 months before its sun goes critical. After that, they all die. 18 months to terraform 3 planets, Yuna repeated. The galactic standard for one planet is 10 years. Then we will work 10 times faster, Junho said. Yuna laughed, but it was not a happy sound. You make it sound simple. It is simple, Junho replied. We promised. We deliver. Everything else is just details. The mobilization began that same day. It started small, with messages going out to every human settlement. Then it grew. In the shipyards orbiting Earth, workers canceled their vacations. They reported for double shifts, triple shifts. Colony ships that had been built for human expansion were repurposed. Cargo holds were modified. Life support systems were upgraded to handle Keltharian biology. On Mars, factories that made terraforming equipment went to full production. Machines that usually took months to build were being assembled in weeks. Quality inspectors worked around the clock to make sure nothing was faulty. One mistake could kill thousands. Luna's agricultural domes increased their output. Food would be needed. Lots of it. The Keltharians would need to eat during the journey, and after they arrived. The farmers worked until their hands bled, then wrapped their hands and kept working. Jiwon Kang managed the logistics from a command center in orbit around Earth. She was 30 years old and had been planning supply chains for the military for 8 years. She was good at her job. Now she faced the biggest challenge of her life. Her screen showed thousands of lines, each one representing a supply route. Food from Luna, machines from Mars, ships from Earth, medical supplies from Europa, construction materials from the asteroid belt. All of it had to arrive at the Keltharian homeworld at the right time, in the right order. If she made a mistake, people would die. She did not make mistakes. On Earth, something unexpected happened. The government had allocated 15% of the planet's GDP to the operation. It was an enormous amount of money. Enough to hurt. Taxes would go up, services would be reduced, luxury goods would be scarce for years. No one complained. Instead, people donated more. A factory worker in Seoul donated his entire savings. A teacher in Lagos gave her retirement fund. A child in Buenos Aires sent the money from his birthday. The donations poured in from everywhere. Nari Han, the journalist from Mars, traveled across human space to document what was happening. She interviewed hundreds of people, asking them the same question. Why are you giving so much for aliens you have never met? The answers varied, but the meaning was always the same. Because we promised, said an old man in Beijing. Because it is right, said a young woman on Titan. Because we are human, said a miner in the asteroid belt. Nari compiled the interviews into a broadcast that spread across the galaxy. Other species watched in confusion. The Keltharians watched in disbelief. Director Vrax watched in anger. In the Galactic Council, Vrax called an emergency session. He demanded that humanity stop their operation. He said it was economically irresponsible. He said it would destabilize the galactic economy. He said humans were being foolish. Ambassador Hana stood before the council again. This time, she was not asking for permission. Director Vrax, you seem concerned about our economy, she said calmly. Let me be clear. Our economy is our business. We will sacrifice what we choose to sacrifice. We will pay what we choose to pay. You will destroy yourselves. Vrax chittered angrily. Maybe, Hana admitted. But we will do it with honor. A reptilian ambassador named Skroth spoke up. His species, the Draknari, were known as warriors. Ambassador Lee, I must ask, why do you do this? What do you gain? Hana turned to face him. We gain nothing material. We gain everything that matters. I do not understand, Skroth said. I know, Hana replied softly. That is why we are different. Back at Earth, the ships were ready. Admiral Junho stood on the bridge of the Indomitable and looked at the fleet assembled before him. 400 ships, gleaming in the light of the sun, colony vessels, cargo haulers, medical ships, construction platforms, and military escorts. Each ship carried a crew that had volunteered. Not one person had been forced to join this mission. They came because they wanted to, because they understood what was at stake. Dr. Yuna Choi joined him on the bridge. She carried a datapad with the final terraforming calculations. The math was brutal. To terraform 3 planets in 18 months would require pushing every machine, every process, every person, to their absolute limit and beyond. We will lose people, she said quietly. Industrial accidents, equipment failures, exhaustion. The projections say at least 1,000 deaths. Maybe more. Junho nodded. He had seen the same projections. I know. And we are still going? Yuna asked. Yes. She was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled. Good. I would hate to think we were cowards. The fleet launched 2 days later. 400 ships rose from Earth orbit and jumped into faster-than-light travel. Their destination was the Keltharian homeworld, 30 light-years away. On that dying planet, Elder Vorath watched the sky. His people gathered around him. All 50,000 of them. They had heard the broadcasts. They knew what was coming, but they did not believe it. Not really. Species did not do this for each other. The galaxy was not built on kindness. It was built on trade, on politics, on self-interest. Then the ships arrived. 400 human vessels dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Keltharian system. They did not ask for permission. They did not negotiate. They simply came. Admiral Junho broadcast a message to the planet below. People of Kelthar, we are humanity. 300 years ago, one of you saved 3,000 of us. Today, we return the favor. Prepare for evacuation. We are taking you home. Elder Vorath collapsed to his knees. Around him, his people wept. They had been alone for so long. Abandoned by the galaxy. Left to die. Now, salvation had arrived. Not because they deserved it. Not because they had earned it. But because, 300 years ago, one brave merchant had done the right thing, and humans never forgot. Commander Hyun Baek stood on the surface of a dead planet. Around him, the ground was gray and lifeless. The atmosphere was thin poison. The temperature would kill an unprotected human in seconds. His environmental suit kept him alive, but barely. This planet was called Designation Alpha. In 18 months, it would be called New Kelthar 1. It would have breathable air, liquid water, and growing plants. It would be home to 17,000 Keltharians. If Hyun and his team succeeded, Commander, a voice spoke in his helmet. It was Sora Yang, his lead atmospheric engineer. We are ready to begin. Hyun looked across the barren landscape. Machines covered the surface as far as he could see. Atmospheric processors, each one the size of a building. Water generators pulling hydrogen from rocks. Solar collectors drinking in energy from the system's sun. Biological seeding platforms ready to spread simple life forms. 3,000 humans worked on this planet. 3,000 more worked on Designation Beta. Another 3,000 on Designation Gamma. All 3 planets had to be ready at the same time. All 3 had to be perfect. Begin the sequence, Hyun ordered. The machines activated. The sound was like thunder. The atmospheric processors started their work, breaking down the poison gases and building new ones. Nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide in the right proportions. It would take months of constant operation. Sora stood next to Hyun, watching her machines work. She had designed these processors herself. They were more powerful than anything the galaxy had ever seen. They were also dangerous. The radiation they produced would shorten the lifespan of anyone working near them. She had calculated that her team would lose an average of 10 years of life expectancy. She had told them this. Not one person had quit. Why do you do this? A voice asked behind them. Hyun turned to see Mirella, the Keltharian liaison. She was the daughter of Elder Vorath, young by her species standards. The council had sent her to observe the human operation. She was supposed to report back on their progress. Instead, she had spent 2 months trying to understand why humans would do something so insane. We do it because we must, Hyun replied simply. But you do not must, Mirella said in broken human language. You choose this. You sacrifice your money, your time, your lives. Why? Sora laughed. Has no one explained honor to you? I know honor, Mirella said defensively. Honor is keeping your word when it is convenient. Honor is helping those who can repay you. This is not honor. This is madness. Maybe to you, Hyun said. To us, honor means keeping your word even when it hurts. Especially when it hurts. Because if honor is only for easy times, then it means nothing. Mirella shook her head. Your species will destroy itself. Perhaps, Sora said. She was checking her datapad, monitoring the atmospheric readings. But we will do it standing up, keeping our promises. On Designation Beta, another team worked on a different problem. This planet had water, but it was all frozen beneath the surface. Engineer Bauman Che and his crew had to bring it up and spread it across the continents. The drills went deep, kilometers below the surface. The energy required was massive. The danger was constant. One drill had already collapsed, killing 7 workers. Bauman had stood at their funeral and promised they would not die in vain. Now he worked 20-hour shifts, sleeping in brief bursts, eating while he worked. His body was failing from exhaustion, but he would not stop. Could not stop. Not while there was work to do. His second-in-command, a young woman named Eunji Lim, tried to make him rest. Commander Bauman, you have been awake for 30 hours. You need to sleep. I will sleep when the job is done, Bauman replied, his eyes fixed on the drilling displays. You will collapse, Eunji insisted. Bauman finally looked at her. Then wake me up and put me back to work. On the flagship Indomitable, Dr. Yuna Choi coordinated all 3 operations. Her screens showed the progress on each planet. Alpha was on schedule, Beta was behind by 3 days, Gamma was ahead by 2 days. 3 days behind was unacceptable. They had no time to spare. She opened a communication channel to Beta. Commander Bauman, You need to increase drilling speed by 15%. There was a long pause. Then Bauman's tired voice replied, Dr. Choi, if we increase speed, we risk more collapses. We could lose more people. I know, Yuna said. She hated herself for what she was about to say. But if we do not speed up, the Caltharians will die. All of them. Another pause. Understood. We will increase speed. Yuna closed the channel and put her head in her hands. Admiral Junho found her like that, alone in her office. You did what you had to, he said quietly. I am killing our people, Yuna replied. You are saving theirs. Is that enough? Junho sat down next to her. I do not know. But I know we do not have a choice. We made a promise. We keep it. Whatever the cost. On Alpha, the first crisis came in month 6. One of the atmospheric processors failed. The backup systems could not handle the load. If they did not fix it, the entire operation would fall behind by weeks. Sora Yang volunteered to go into the radiation zone to repair it personally. Her team tried to stop her. The radiation inside would be lethal. Even in a protective suit, she would absorb enough to guarantee cancer within years. She went anyway. Commander Hyun watched from the command center as Sora worked inside the processor. Her suit's radiation alarms screamed constantly. She ignored them. Her hands worked carefully, replacing burnt components, rerouting power systems. 30 minutes. That was how long she could survive in there. She took 45. When she emerged, her suit was smoking. Her face was pale. But the processor was working again. Hyun caught her as she collapsed. You fool, he said softly. You beautiful, brave fool. The machine works? Sora asked weakly. Yes. Then it was worth it. The medical ship took her away. The doctors said she would live, but the cancer would come in 5 years, maybe 10. She had traded her future for the mission. When Mirella heard what had happened, she came to Hyun in confusion. Why did she do that? Why did she sacrifice herself? Hyun looked at the Caltharian with tired eyes. Because 300 years ago, your ancestor did the same thing. He sacrificed his ship, his wealth, his future to save strangers. Sora just returned the favor. But she does not even know my ancestor, Mirella protested. She does not need to, Hyun said. She knows what he did. That is enough. By month 12, the first planet was ready. Designation: Alpha had breathable air. The water flowed in new rivers. Simple plants covered the gray soil in patches of green. It was not Earth, but it was alive. The Caltharians watched from their dying world in amazement. The humans had done what the entire Galactic Council said was impossible. They had terraformed a planet in 12 months, and they were not done. They had 2 more to complete. On Beta, Commander Bauman finally collapsed. He had worked for 12 months without a real break. His body simply gave up. The medical team rushed him to the hospital ship. But the prognosis was clear. His heart was damaged from exhaustion. He would live, but he would never work again. As they carried him to the medical shuttle, Bauman grabbed Yoonji's hand. Did we finish the water systems? He asked. Yes, Commander, Yoonji said, tears in her eyes. The water flows. Bauman smiled and closed his eyes. Good. On Gamma, the biological seeding went faster than expected. The simple organisms they had introduced were thriving, spreading, creating the foundation for a complex ecosystem. In 3 months, this planet would be ready for higher life forms. Across all 3 worlds, humans worked without stopping. They slept in short bursts. They ate while they worked. They pushed their bodies and their machines to the breaking point and beyond. And people died. An accident here. An equipment failure there. Exhaustion took some. Radiation took others. By month 12, the death count had reached 1,400. Every death was announced to all 3 teams. Every name was spoken aloud. They were not forgotten. In the Galactic Council, other species began to watch with something new. Not confusion anymore. Not disbelief. Something else. Something that made Director Vrax very uncomfortable. Respect. Ambassador Hana received messages from 40 different species. They all asked variations of the same question. How can we help? Okay. 23 species sent supplies, 10 sent medical teams, 5 sent engineering support. They did not do it because they were asked. They did it because the humans inspired them. Because watching these small, weak creatures move mountains for a principle made the other species examine themselves. What would they do? What would they sacrifice? What did they truly value? The answers made them uncomfortable. Mirella spent month 14 on designation Alpha, walking among the growing plants. The air was breathable now. Though still harsh, she removed her helmet and took her first breath of air on a planet that had been dead a year ago. She fell to her knees and cried. Hyun found her there. He sat down next to her, saying nothing. I understand now, Mirella finally said. I thought you were insane. I thought you would fail. I thought this was pride or stupidity. And now? Hyun asked. Now I see what my ancestor saw in you, Mirella replied. He did not save you because you were special. He saved you because he saw what you could become, what you were always meant to be. She looked at Hyun with wonder in her eyes. You are not the strongest species. You are not the smartest. You are not the oldest. But you are the only ones who would do this. Hyun smiled. Perhaps that makes us the strongest after all. The message came in the middle of the night. Ship time. Admiral Junho was awakened by urgent alarms. He was on the bridge in 2 minutes, still pulling on his uniform jacket. Report, he ordered. Pirates, sir, his tactical officer replied. A fleet of 15 ships. They just dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. Junho stared at the display screen. 15 ships, all armed, all dangerous. They were not large warships, but they did not need to be. The human fleet was mostly civilian vessels, colony ships, cargo haulers, construction platforms. They had weapons, but they were not built for combat. What do they want? Junho asked, though he already knew the answer. They are broadcasting a demand. They want us to leave. They claim this system is their territory. This system belongs to the Keltharians, Junho said coldly. They do not seem to care, sir. Junho understood what was happening. The pirates had watched the operation for months. They had seen humans bringing valuable equipment, rare materials, advanced technology. All of it looked undefended. All of it looked easy to steal. The pirates thought the humans were weak. They were about to learn differently. Send a message to all ships, Junho ordered. All civilian vessels. Move to the far side of designation Alpha. Use the planet as a shield. Military vessels. Form up on the Indomitable. Battle Formation 7. Sir, his tactical officer said nervously. We only have 40 military ships. They have 15. But their ships are built for combat. Junho smiled, and it was not a kind smile. Then let us show them what human military ships can do. The human military vessels moved with precision that surprised the pirates. These were not clumsy cargo ships. These were warships, designed by a species that had fought itself for thousands of years before reaching the stars. Humans knew war. The pirate leader, a 4-armed creature named Krell, broadcast a message. Human fleet, you are in our territory. Leave now, or we will destroy you, Junho replied personally. This system belongs to the Keltharians. We are here by their invitation. You are the ones who should leave. Krell laughed, the sound translated by computers. You are far from your homeworld, human. No one will help you. No one will save you. Leave or die. No, Junho said simply. Krell was confused by this response. You choose death? We choose to keep our promise, Junho replied. You tried to stop us from honoring a debt. You threatened innocent lives. There is no greater insult. So no, we will not leave. You will. The pirates attacked. The battle lasted 7 minutes. Afterward, Krell's flagship hung dead in space, its engines destroyed, its weapons offline. The other pirate ships had fled, running for the edge of the system at maximum speed. 2 had been destroyed by return fire. Their crews dead. The humans had lost no ships. 3 were damaged. 5 people were injured. No one was killed. On the planet below, Mirella watched the battle on a screen. She stood next to Commander Hyun, both of them silent. "I thought you came in peace," Mirella said quietly. "We did," Hyun replied. "But we came prepared for war. There is a difference between being peaceful and being weak." "Those pirates will tell others," Mirella said. "More will come." "Let them come," Hyun said. His voice was cold. "We are humans. We are here to save lives. But we will take lives to protect our mission, if we must. Anyone who tries to stop us from keeping our promise will learn this." The recording of the battle spread across the galaxy faster than any message before it. Other species watched in shock. The humans, who seemed so focused on kindness and honor, had destroyed a pirate fleet in minutes. It forced a new understanding. Humans were not weak. They were not foolish. They simply valued different things. And they would defend those values with the same efficiency they showed in everything else. Dr. Minho Shin arrived at the Keltharian homeworld in month 13 with 15 medical ships. He was humanity's chief medical officer, a man who had spent his life helping others. Now he faced his greatest challenge. 50,000 Keltharians needed medical examinations before they could be moved. Many were sick from living on a dying world. Many had genetic diseases. All of them needed care. Minho set up medical stations across the planet. Human doctors and nurses worked alongside Keltharian healers. The language was difficult. The biology was different. But medicine had a universal language of care. One patient, an old Keltharian woman, refused treatment at first. She had lived through too much disappointment to trust easily. Minho sat with her personally. "What is your name?" he asked through a translator. "Sila," she replied. "Why do you care?" "Because you matter," Minho said simply. "Because 300 years ago, one of your people decided that 3,000 strangers mattered. Now, we return that belief." Sila looked at him with tired eyes. "Your people are dying to save us. I have heard the reports. Over 1,000 dead. Why do you keep going?" "Because stopping would dishonor their sacrifice," Minho replied. "Each person who died believed in this mission. They believed in honoring our word. If we quit now, their deaths meant nothing. So you go forward to honor the dead?" "We go forward to honor the living and the dead," Minho said. "We go forward because it is right." Sila finally allowed him to examine her. She would live to see the new world. Minho would make sure of it. Gina Park arrived on a different mission. She was a cultural liaison, someone who helped different species understand each other. Her job was to prepare the Keltharians for their new homes. She worked with the children first. They were the future. They needed to understand what was happening and why. She gathered a group of young Keltharians in a shelter on the dying planet. Their faces were curious and frightened. "Today, I am going to tell you about home," Gina began. "Not your old home, your new home." She showed them pictures of Designation Alpha, now officially named New Kelthar 1. The green plants, the blue water, the breathable air. "This will be your world," she said. "A place where you can run and play. A place where the air will not hurt you. A place where you can grow old." One child raised a small hand. "Why did the humans do this for us?" Gina smiled. "Because a long time ago, one of your ancestors helped us when we needed it. He did not ask for payment. He did not ask for thanks. He just helped because it was right." "And now you help us?" the child asked. "Yes, because that is what good people do. They help each other." The child thought about this. "When I grow up, I want to be like that. I want to help others." Gina felt tears in her eyes. "Then you will be the best kind of person," she said. In the Galactic Council, something unprecedented happened. Director Vrax called a vote to sanction humanity for economic disruption and unauthorized terraforming operations. He expected the vote to pass easily. Humans were a minor species with few allies. The vote failed. 31 species voted against the sanctions. Another 20 abstained. Only 15 voted in favor. Ambassador Hana watched the vote count with quiet satisfaction. The species that voted against sanctions included some of the galaxy's most powerful. They were sending a message. After the vote, the reptilian ambassador Skroth approached Hana. His species, the Draknari, were known as warriors and conquerors. They respected strength above all else. Ambassador Lee, Skroth said, "My government wishes to offer assistance. We have construction ships that could help with your operation." Hana was surprised. "Why would you help us? Your species has never shown interest in humanitarian work." Skroth's eyes, slit like a snake's, fixed on her. "Because you have shown us something we did not know existed. True honor. My people conquer worlds because we are strong, but you save worlds because you are honorable. Which is more powerful? I do not know," Hana admitted. "Neither do I," Skroth said. "But I wish to learn. Perhaps by helping you, we will understand." 22 other species made similar offers: food, medicine, equipment, workers, all of it freely given, not because they were asked, but because they wanted to. Humanity had not just saved the Keltharians, they had inspired the galaxy. On New Kelthar 1, Elder Voreth made the journey from his dying world to witness the completion. He was very old now, his body failing. The doctors said he had weeks to live, at most. He wanted to see it. He needed to see it. Commander Hyun personally guided the old Keltharian across the surface of the new planet. The air was breathable, the sun was warm. Plants grew everywhere, and the sound of running water filled the air. Elder Voreth stopped on a hill overlooking a new valley. In the distance, the first settlement was being built. Homes for his people, a future for his species. "My ancestor would be proud," he said softly. "We hope so," Hyun replied. "We tried to honor his memory." "You did more than honor his memory," Elder Voreth said. "You proved that his sacrifice was not wasted. He saved people who would grow to value honor above everything. He saved people who would save us in return." He turned to look at Hyun with eyes that held both tears and joy. "You are terrifying, you humans. Not because you are strong, because you are good. Truly, deeply good. And you will not let anything stop you from being good." "We are not perfect," Hyun said. "We make mistakes. We fail sometimes. But you try," Elder Voreth insisted. "That is what makes you terrifying. You try with everything you have. You sacrifice, you suffer, you die, but you keep trying to do what is right." He looked back at the valley. "My species will remember this. We will tell this story for 10,000 years. The story of the humans who came from the stars to save us, not because they would gain from it, but because 300 years ago, we helped them. And that was enough," Hyun said quietly. Month 18 arrived like a sunrise after a long night. Captain Doyun Kim stood on the surface of New Kelthar 3, the last of the 3 planets to be completed. Around him, his inspection team checked the final readings. Atmosphere composition, perfect. Water quality, excellent. Soil biology, thriving. Temperature range, within acceptable limits. "Captain," his lead scientist said, "New Kelthar 3 is ready for habitation." Doyun allowed himself a moment of relief. 3 planets, 18 months. The deadline met with 2 days to spare. Behind him, the Keltharian sun was beginning its death throes. In 3 days, it would expand into a red giant and consume their homeworld. But the Keltharians would not be there to see it. They were already moving to their new homes. 17,000 to New Kelthar 1. 18,000 to New Kelthar 2. 15,000 to New Kelthar 3. All 50,000. Accounted for, safe, and beginning their new lives. The cost had been staggering. 2,100 humans had died during the operation. Industrial accidents, equipment failures, exhaustion, radiation exposure. Each name was recorded. Each sacrifice remembered. Earth's economy had taken a blow that would require 5 years to recover from. 30% of humanity's savings, gone. development projects delayed, expansion plans cancelled. But the promise was kept. Doyun opened a communication channel to Admiral Junho on the flagship. "Admiral, this is Captain Kim. Final inspection complete. All 3 worlds are ready." There was a pause. Then Junho's voice came through. "Confirmed, Captain. The operation is complete." Complete. One word, but it carried the weight of 18 months of work, sacrifice, and determination. On New Kelthar 1, a ceremony was being prepared. It was not a human ceremony, but a Keltharian one. The entire species gathered in the valley below the first settlement. Human workers stopped their tasks to watch. Elder Vorith was carried on a platform to the center of the gathering. He was dying, his body finally giving up after holding on long enough to see his people saved. He had perhaps hours left. Ambassador Hana stood beside the platform, along with Commander Hyun, Dr. Yuna, Admiral Junho, and the other human leaders. They had come to pay their respects to the old Keltharian, who had lived to see the promise fulfilled. Mirella, his daughter, knelt beside him. Tears ran down her face as she held her father's hand. Elder Vorath looked up at the sky. So different from his dying homeworld. This sky was blue, with white clouds. This air was sweet and clean. This world was alive. "My people," he said, his voice amplified so all could hear. 300 years ago, my ancestors saved humans because it was right. He expected no reward. He wanted no payment. He did what his heart told him was good. He paused to catch his breath. Hana knelt beside him, offering water, but he waved it away gently. "Today, we stand on a new world," Elder Vorath continued. "A world that was dead. A world that humans brought to life for us. They lost over 2,000 of their people doing this. They spent wealth that will take them years to recover. They sacrificed their future for our survival." He turned his head to look at the humans standing nearby. "Why did they do this? I have asked this question for 18 months. I finally understand the answer. They did it because they are human. Because their species values honor above profit, principle above convenience, promises above everything else. 300 years ago, we helped them. Today, they saved us. The debt is paid 1,000 times over." He coughed, and Mirella wiped his face gently. He smiled at her, then continued, "My people, remember this day. Remember these humans. When you raise your children, tell them this story. When your children have children, tell them too. For 10,000 generations, let the Keltharians remember. The humans came. The humans saved us. The humans kept their word." The gathered Keltharians stood in silence, absorbing his words. Then, as one, they began a traditional gesture of deepest respect. They touched their foreheads to the ground. All 50,000 of them, bowing to the humans who had saved them. The humans stood uncomfortable. They had not done this for praise. They had done it because it was right. But they accepted the gesture with grace, understanding that the Keltharians needed to express their gratitude. Elder Vorath died 3 hours later, peacefully, with his daughter beside him and the sky of his new world above him. His last words were simple: "Thank you." The monument was built in the following week. It stood on the highest hill of New Kelthar. 1, visible for kilometers in every direction. It was carved from stone brought from Earth, a gift from humanity to the Keltharians. The inscription was written in 3 languages: Keltharian, Human English, and Galactic Standard, in memory of Vorath, who showed kindness to strangers. In honor of humanity, who repaid that kindness 100-fold. May all species learn from both. A debt remembered is a debt honored. A promise made is a promise kept. Below the words were carved 2,100 names, every human who had died during the operation. Their sacrifice would be remembered forever on this world they had helped create. On Earth, President Taeyang stood before the Global Assembly once more. This time, his message was different. "My fellow humans," he began. 18 months ago, I asked you to sacrifice. You gave more than I asked. You gave everything you had." He paused, looking at the faces around him. Representatives from every corner of human space, tired but proud. Some say we were foolish. Some say we should have let the Keltharians die. That it was not our problem. That the debt was too old to matter. They are wrong. His voice grew stronger. We saved 50,000 lives. We created 3 new worlds. We proved that humanity's word means something. More than that, we inspired the galaxy. 23 species joined us to help. 31 voted against sanctions. The entire galaxy watched and learned what humans truly are. We are the species that keeps its word. We are the species that honors its debts. We are the species that will sacrifice everything for a principle. And now, the galaxy knows this. The assembly rose to applaud. It was not a celebration of victory, but of character. They had proven who they were, and the cost had been steep, but it had been worth it. In the Galactic Council, Director Vrax found himself facing a vote of no confidence. The council members, watching what humans had accomplished, questioned his leadership. How could he have opposed such a noble action? What did it say about his judgment? The vote passed. Vrax was removed from power. In his place, the council elected a new director, not a human, but a species that had been inspired by human actions. The first act of the new director was to create a fund to help endangered species relocate. It was called the Vorath Fund. Ambassador Hanna received messages from 47 different species. They all requested meetings, trade agreements, cultural exchanges. They all wanted to align themselves with humanity. Why? Because, in a galaxy built on self-interest, humanity had shown something different. They had shown that some things mattered more than profit. Some things were worth dying for. Honor, integrity, keeping your word. And every species in the galaxy now knew. If you befriend humanity, you have allies who will never abandon you. If you wrong them, or threaten those they protect, you face something more terrifying than weapons. You face a species that will sacrifice everything to make things right. On New Kelthar 1, young Keltharian children played in the grass. They had never known the dying world of their ancestors. To them, this green planet was home. This was normal. One child, a boy named Dorath, named after the ancient merchant, asked his teacher a question. "Teacher, what are humans really like?" The teacher, who had lived through the evacuation and seen the humans work, thought carefully before answering. "Humans are different from us," she said. "They are not the strongest species. They are not the smartest. They are not the oldest or the richest. But they have something more powerful than any of those things." "What?" Dorath asked. "They have honor," the teacher replied. "True honor. The kind that does not bend or break. The kind that survives centuries. The kind that will move mountains and terraform planets." She looked at the monument on the hill, where 2,100 names were carved in stone. "Humans are terrifying," she continued. "Not because they will hurt you, but because they will sacrifice themselves for you. They will die to keep a promise. They will give everything they have to repay a debt. Cross them at your own risk. Harm those they protect, and you will face their wrath. But befriend them. Help them. Show them kindness, and you will have allies who will save your entire species 300 years later." "Should we be afraid of them?" Dorath asked. The teacher smiled. "No, child. We should be grateful for them. And we should try to be like them." On the Indomitable, Captain Doyun stood with Admiral Junho, looking at the 3 green planets through the viewport. "It is done," Doyun said. "The debt is paid." Junho nodded. "Yes, this debt is paid." "This debt?" Doyun asked, catching the emphasis. Junho smiled. "Humanity has been in the galaxy for 300 years, Captain. We have met many species. Some helped us. Some taught us. Some showed us kindness. And we remember every single act. Cease. Unexpected. Are well. Cease starred. Some taught us. He turned to face Do-yoon directly. We have other debts to pay, smaller ones perhaps, but debts nonetheless, and we will pay them all. Do-yoon understood. This was not the end. This was the beginning. Humanity had sent a message to the galaxy, written in sacrifice and sealed with blood. The message was simple, but clear. When humans make a promise, they keep it. When humans owe a debt, they pay it. No matter how long it takes. No matter what it costs. No matter who tries to stop them. The Keltharians had learned this. The pirates had learned this. The Galactic Council had learned this. And across the galaxy, on 1,000 worlds, species looked at their own histories and asked themselves a question. Had they ever helped humanity? Because if they had, someday, somehow, humans would repay that kindness. And if they had wronged humanity, well, that debt would be collected too. Eventually. Inevitably. Because humans never forgot. The broadcast went out from Earth to every corner of human space. It was played on every station, translated into every language, shared across every network. It showed the 3 new worlds. It showed the 50,000 Keltharians beginning their new lives. It showed the monument, with its 2,100 names, and it ended with a simple statement from President Taeyang Song. To the galaxy, humanity has many debts to pay. We will pay them all. This is not a threat. This is not a boast. This is simply who we are. We keep our word. We honor our obligations. We remember those who helped us, and to those who might consider harming our friends, interfering with our missions, or breaking their word to us. Understand this. When humans pay a debt, the entire galaxy trembles. Not from fear. From the realization that perhaps they should have been better people all along. Not. The broadcast ended. Across the galaxy, in council chambers and military headquarters, in homes and schools, beings of 100 different species sat in silence. They understood now. Humanity had arrived in the galaxy.